Sports Opinion, the weekly sports talk show on Channel 18. My name's Dirk Keller. This is Bob Boyd.
Yes.
And this is Earl the Pearl Murphy.
That's
Glad
it.
to have everybody back together again. Well, everybody's not here. Bud is still, what's Bud doing?
He might be delivering Easter flowers right now, probably.
Yeah, it's about that time. So, Bob and I were gone last week on spring break. How was your trip?
Oh, it was good. We were down in the Carolinas, and we saw a couple of our children and a couple of our grandkids live down there, and weather was pretty
good.
A little cooler than normal, but you know, anywhere between 55 and 75 during the day, so you can't complain about that.
Yeah, that's what it was in the panhandle of Florida.
Same deal, huh?
Yeah. You know, cool for that time of year down there, but still, the kids love the beach.
Oh, sure.
And the water. The water was ice cold. And
I bet it was.
Ice cold. But kids just don't seem to, to really be fazed by that too much.
Kids and water, that's a pretty good combination.
Yeah. Well, Bob and I were away while longtime friend of Sports Opinion, Tommy Thompson, died last week. His funeral is today. And we just wanted to mention his passing. Tommy was a bit of a legend around Iowa City and the University of Iowa campus. You saw him at every home Hawkeye wrestling meet, and I think he got his start with wrestling by giving the team apples. When I was a student here in the late 70s, he was known as Tommy the Apple Guy. I always wondered why he was sitting on the bench, and till the end of the season here, he was still sitting in the bench area with the rest of the wrestlers. He held an honored position.
I wrote him a card. I said, every time I see a red apple, I think of you.
Now, what do you know what his tradition was?
No, I do not.
I used to think he was a owner of an apple orchard, and that wasn't the case.
No.
I think actually he retired from, was it Square D Company he worked for in Cedar Rapids?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
For years. And did you say, Murph, that his wife worked for you for several years?
She about, I don't know, about 10 years, I think.
I'll be darned. What'd she do for you?
She ran the center desk where everybody picked up their alterations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, they lived around the corner from me, up there in Mayville Heights.
Yeah.
On First and...
Yeah. And daggone, it's just a shame. We saw Tommy every Monday at the Monday Morning Quarterback Club luncheon.
That's right.
And he was a pretty daggone good handicapper, if you will. He picked the winner. We have a little weekly pool during football and basketball season where you pick the winner of 20 different games.
Yep.
And Bob are almost always at the top.
Tommy, I tell you what, he was traditionally at the top more often than anybody, I think, in football and basketball. So he was real sharp on that stuff. And, when it comes to the end of the season, he was usually one of the top three.
Right at the top, yeah.
And pretty sharp he was, 85 when he passed? How?
He was 86 or
86 when he passed away. But the good thing about it, I think, is he was active till the end.
Sure was.
He was just at one of our last quarterback clubs, about 3 weeks ago?
Yeah,
maybe?
he was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was there.
Good for him.
And I think he won the weekly pool.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I'm pretty sure he did.
I think you're right. But the other thing, too, he had a tremendous streak going in football.
Yes.
How many consecutive games?
Tommy Thompson to around 750 consecutive Hawkeye football games, home and away, bowl games, everything, you name it.
Think about that commitment.
It's unreal.
I mean, since he was a teenager, that's a lot of games.
That beats Bud Supple by a long shot.
I'll tell you what, that beats just about any Hawkeye, I think. That could certainly be, if it's not a record, it'd be close to it, wouldn't it, Murph?
Sure. Well, I know he was featured in Sports Illustrated recently as one of the top fans in the Big Ten, the top Hawkeye fan. And they mentioned his consecutive games streak.
Yeah.
So that's come to an end. Tommy was also, I understand, a really good golfer.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. I think he was a scratch golfer.
He had a business, the driving range.
Oh, that's right.
Somebody also told me he was an old pool shop.
I can see that.
Is that right, Joe?
I believe it. I don't know.
Okay. No, I just heard that from somebody a couple of days ago. So
I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me. He had the look of a savvy pool shooter.
There's a rumor that he just played one of the first rounds of golf ever played on Pink Bond Golf Course, too.
Really? Wow.
Mike Gatins has a picture, I think, of that event.
wow.
I'll be darned. I'll be darned. Well,
Mike would have been a young child at that time, probably.
hadn't even been born yet.
Or maybe his dad
No, they have a
probably had
picture
the
on the
picture.
wall of his office.
Oh, is that right?
Not necessarily him being there.
Yeah.
Yeah, his dad probably took it.
Well,
But anyway, that's interesting. Well, he was a Hawkeye legend, and certainly passing is,
He married,
unfortunate, but...
yeah.
He married Kay Fisk. Henry Fisk was her
Oh, the architect's daughter
Yeah.
was his wife. I didn't know that. Henry Fisk was the architect that designed Mom and Dad's house.
Really?
They built 50-some years ago, yeah.
Yeah. And
He died on the way home, didn't he? And didn't he have a heart attack, Henry Fisk, on the way home from work?
I think that's what Tommy had, a heart attack.
He
Yeah.
must have, because he was still getting around.
Well, I didn't realize that he was related to the Fisk family. That's interesting, yeah.
Do you think Henry Fisk designed the house that Tommy lived in?
No, my folks.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe that, probably did, I would assume.
It's a beautiful home.
What was I going to tell you?
Golf?
No.
I'd love to know how Tommy became such a wrestling fan.
I don't know. He inherited all of Henry Fisk's tickets to Iowa games.
Oh, yeah.
Good seats.
Good seats.
Yes.
And he held on to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember he was real close to me. I told you how I kept improving my tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And one time I got a call from Gene Kupka.
Yep, the old
Yep.
ticket manager, Gene Kupka.
Yep.
And she said, Murphy, you're going to need better tickets because your kidneys aren't what they used to be. And so I'm going to improve your tickets.
Get you close to the ramp,
Yes, that's right.
the staircase.
And I was had them on the opening of
Carver.
Carver. I had beautiful tickets there.
Yeah.
But the football tickets.
You had him right by the entrance, didn't you?
In Section E.
Good.
Row 42.
That's like perfect. 40-yard line?
50-yard line.
50-yard line, wow.
Yeah, 42, 43, that's right where the ramp comes up, isn't it? Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
About halfway up.
Man.
Perfect. Well,
Time
sorry.
out, you got time to run to the
Yeah.
ramp and go down, go to the restroom.
Well, Tommy Thompson's going to be missed. It won't be the same at the
Yeah.
Monday Morning Quarterback Club without him. And it's not going to be the same at the wrestling meets without him. And I'm sure his travel partners for the Hawkeye football games are
Well,
going to miss him, too.
he didn't always belong to that club.
No. Well, now, his funeral's at St. Mary's today.
Mm-hmm.
I'd often see Tommy at Mass,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd stop and chat. And this past season, it was usually, on Sunday morning, something in anger about the Hawkeye game the day before.
Well, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Dennis Miller, who's
Yeah.
the kind of the accounting guru that runs the pools in the quarterback club, he's the one that took Tommy to all the away games.
I didn't know that.
Drove him to all the away games for the last several years.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, because he wasn't able to drive, obviously,
yeah.
to East Lansing and West Lafayette and all those places. So, yeah, Dennis was nice enough to help out in that respect.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, to the family and friends of Tommy Thompson, we're really sorry for your loss, and I know it's a loss for the whole Hawkeye athletic department because he was a fixture. I know they held his funeral until the NCAA wrestling tournament was over this past weekend. So Tommy's friends with the wrestling staff could be there, And trust me, he was a friend to everyone from Dan Gable to Tom Brands to Terry Brands, right on down to the wrestlers in the room. So, Tommy, you're going to be missed. Last night, we saw the end of the Hawkeye women's basketball season. You know, I don't know. You probably didn't get to watch it, did you, Earl? The women's game, because it was on ESPNU.
Yeah, no, it was on the right.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
I thought the Hawkeye women played the most inspired game of the season. And the first thing I thought was, why couldn't they do that and play like that against the Nebraskas and the Purdues and the teams they lost to that they shouldn't have?
Well, I think it's just the national recognition that Notre Dame brings with it. 33-1, ranked second in the country, and have a good shot at the national championship. Got the player of the year on their team. But, you know, we did play inspired. Unfortunately, we just couldn't hit.
Couldn't hit a three, couldn't hit a field goal. I mean,
we played well. I mean, we had a fair share of turnovers in that, but if we'd have been shooting, you know, 45% instead of whatever they ended up with.
Field goals, we made 24, and they made 25.
Yeah. They just made a bunch of threes.
Yeah, and you know what I heard?
And a lot of free throws.
A lot of free throws. That's what beat us.
And I thought, not only was it a physical game, but I thought the refs absolutely called it one-sided.
It sure sounded that way. And I listened to it on the radio, and it sounded that way.
It's out there in South Bend.
I don't know if this is accurate, but Shelley Till, who does the radio broadcasts in KXIC with Brent Balbin, she looked up some statistics, and at the end of the game, she said this is the first game since Rutgers in 2005 that Iowa has not made a three-pointer.
Really?
So whether that was accurate or not, I don't know, but she did say that, and if you think about, you know, when it comes down to this NCAA, whether it's men's or women, all these teams are good. It's kind of like who's hot and who's not. And we were not hot.
No.
They were. So
I thought Morgan Johnson, the senior, 6'6", 6'5", had a really good game, and she really she tried to take the team on her shoulders and carry them through, but it just wasn't meant to be. Jamie Prinny, I'd love to know what she would have been like this year without injuring that knee late last season, because she was, I think, just a shell of herself. She just couldn't hit threes this year. And
boy, she missed her threes. I mean, she missed them by 2.
And so did Melissa Dixon, who's been our go-to gunner.
Yeah, that's right.
She couldn't hit. Sam Logic, again, was just a bulldog and fought through, I thought, a lot of really bad calls.
That's what I was going to say.
She got screwed. She just, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
What was the turnover? I mean, we had a lot of turnovers.
I think they had 25 turnovers. It killed us. Yeah, and credit to Notre Dame. They are at a whole different level of talent than Iowa.
But they could have been had last night.
They could have.
Yeah.
But every time Iowa mounted a rally,
they'd answer.
They hit with a three.
Yeah.
And it was a gal who really wasn't their three-point shooter, but she got hot. Like you said, whoever gets hot.
Prior to that game, she was shooting 25% from threes for the season.
Yeah. She hit 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
And 4 in a row.
Yeah, in the first half.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Alice and Lisa and her coaches still had another good season. Could it have been better? Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They finished 21-13 and would have liked to have been better than 8-8 in the conference.
And
but you know,
what bothered me is they're a good player that likes to dribble.
I'm drawing a blank now.
Yeah, she was griping all the time.
I got really tired of Notre Dame at the end of that game. I thought their attitude was kind of thuggish.
Yes.
And I thought I just thought they really didn't know how to handle a physical game. The one gal, the big gal from Canada, Achanwa, is that how they pronounce it?
I think so.
Achanwa?
Yeah.
She got a technical called on her after she got fouled. And, you know, she said some nasty things to, I forget who the Hawkeye player was that fouled her. But, it wasn't intentional. It wasn't a hard foul. It was just a foul.
But they just exchanged free throws, and we didn't get we got the ball because she shot her free throw last.
Right.
So I don't know if they called it technical or what. What did they call there?
It was a technical. on her.
Well, it's a
on
little
shot
bit
clock.
strange.
I know the two shots.
Prenny got 2 free throws.
Yeah.
She made them both, and then Chandra came down and she made 2 free throws, and then we got the ball out anyway. But
Jamie Prenny ended up leading the Big Ten in free throw percentage at around 92%. And they were saying last night on TV that Aaron Blue with the Sports Information Department did the math, and if she shot 6 for 6 last night or better, she would break the all-time NCAA record for single-season free throw percentage for women. And she went 4 for 4.
oh, that's too bad.
And
wow.
I thought towards the end of the game, why isn't she driving to the lane to draw the fouls? And I think it just kind of typified Jamie's senior season. She very unsure of the stability of her knee and really favored it all season long. In some games, it looked like she was dragging that leg.
Well, and most people said she was a step slow, and
She
mentally
was.
that's gotta. I can see where that would bother any athlete, you know, that has to go through that and all the workouts they have to
think
do
she's a
to
little
bring it
afraid.
back. And
Yeah, she looked like she was playing
Yeah.
afraid. She definitely was slow. She was, quite frankly, on defense most of the season. Because, you know, she's a guard, and so she's going to have to guard some of those quicker opponents. And last night was a perfect example. Notre Dame players just blew right by Jamie.
well, it's unfair because it's just the kind of player she was, and she got hurt last year, and it slowed her up this year, and she could have been Iowa's all-time leading scorer probably, and
All-time leading three-point shooter.
yeah.
She could have had all that.
yeah, it's just she had a little bad luck is what
Yeah.
she had. Still had an awesome career.
Yeah, it kind of
And-
broke my heart when she went off the floor for the last time, and
Yeah.
the camera showed her in tears, and I really felt for her.
Well, she should be proud of the career she had, and Lisa and her coaching staff. That is
And she,
6 straight NCAA appearances in a row.
Yeah,
and she played proud.
Yeah,
she did.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to miss that blonde ponytail bobbing around out there on the court, and she really was a force up until her last year. She was something special to watch, and
Well, all 3 of those seniors. I'm sure Nesmith would have liked to have played more, but
Yeah.
I mean, with Prenti and Johnson, Morgan Johnson, 2 of Iowa's best ever.
yeah, I think Morgan Johnson's irreplaceable.
It's tough to get that gal in the middle that can do as good a job as she's done for the last 4 years.
Well, it's the leadership she showed on the court, off the court. She was a true leader for these gals, and I don't see that in Bethany Doolittle, her replacement.
But
next
she's
year.
young.
Yeah, she's young.
You know.
She doesn't have that same fire, that same expressiveness. The announcers last night and Sunday when they beat Miami, a very good Miami team that had Iowa down late in the first half. And boy, oh boy, did that Hawkeye win rally in the second half. And they blew Miami right out. They blew them out. It was a beautiful thing to see, and you know, I want to say too, the fans. They sold over 8,000 tickets for this NCAA tournament here.
Wow.
They said it was the 3rd highest in the nation for all of those NCAA first round tournaments. That's really a testament to the fans.
Oh, it is.
They came out last night. That was a late start. That was an 8:30, 8:40. Game didn't start till 8:40 p.m. Must have
That's
been.
why we lost.
But there were, you know, there were
we were
moms and
tired.
daughters and everybody there. I mean, it was really a nice sight to see.
But if it had been a 7 o'clock game, there'd have been more people there.
I probably would have been there if it had been 7 o'clock.
But you think about that, and you talk about the attendance, and you look at the men's 2 NIT games.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's pretty impressive, too. 2 sellouts.
Back to back.
31,000.
Very impressive. I know the NIT was wishing that St. John's would beat Virginia last
Oh, yeah.
Sunday.
So were we.
As were we, because that would have been another home game for the Hawks.
Yeah, yeah.
And well, before we get into the men, I just want to wrap up a little bit with the women.
Okay.
Again, Samantha Logic, tough, gritty. She's going to be a junior next year. I think she'll be the team leader, no doubt about it. and somebody you can build an offense around and a defense. She's just a smart player, and can't wait to see her blossom as an upperclassman. Bethany Doolittle, she's going to have to get stronger. She's going to have to step up as a starter and really become a scorer and a defender. Without Virginia Johnson, the City High grad, in the lineup anymore.
Oh, boy.
Well, that's a disappointment.
Huge blow.
Yeah, it's sure.
Huge blow for Lisa Bluter.
Yeah.
And her team.
She plays basketball the way it should be played.
Yep. She's tall. She's a scorer. She's a defender. She's quick. She hustles. She's smart. I want to see Bethany Doolittle be a little smarter. She's young.
Just a freshman, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say about freshmen.
Or wait a minute. Is Bethany a freshman?
She's a sophomore? Can't remember.
I think she's a sophomore.
Oh, she'll be better.
Yeah.
She'll be better next. And she'll be a presence. And Dixon,
Melissa Dixon, she's going to have to be, she's going to have to be counted on next year to shoot the three and be a starter. She was the sixth woman of the year in the Big Ten, which has a heck of a lot. She got a lot of respect for her efforts off the bench, and it's going to be a whole different role for her next year as a starter.
If she's a starter, she might surprise some people. If she gets hot, she can score a lot of points.
Oh, it's a thing of beauty. I mean, she was the difference against Miami.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
That was a deadlock game, and she came in off the bench and hit three threes. Man, that was beautiful.
We needed that last night, though.
Yeah, sure did. Just didn't have them, and they weren't even close. The shots were just way off, and I don't understand that. It's your home court. They had open, good looks. It wasn't like they had defenders in their face every time. But again, Notre Dame. Wow, what talent, what quickness.
Doesn't it kind of surprise you? And this has happened in the NCAA men as well as women. And it's happened to Iowa several times in the last month or so. How in the hell do you miss the rim on a three-point shot? I mean, if it's not blocked, how do you miss the rim or the backboard on a shot that's 22 feet away? I don't get that. And it happens quite a bit. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I absolutely have.
That's
and these are
surprising.
Kids who have more opportunities available to them for practicing their shoot. Where you and I growing up, you were lucky if you found somebody to shag your rebounds when you were going through shooting practice. Now they've got equipment that just shoots the ball back to them wherever they want to be on the floor.
Back in the day, you shagged your own rebounds.
Well, there's that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
things have changed a bit in the last several decades.
No kidding.
However,
I'd like to see Theara Taylor improve her self-confidence.
Yeah.
You talk,
She's the fastest player we got.
Yep. She just doesn't appear to have the confidence in her abilities, and it's understandable. She's had 3 major knee reconstruction surgeries.
unbelievable.
She's good.
She is.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see her be more self-confident, and I think she'll become a force. I think she'll be a smarter player. She's going to have to be a leader next year. She'll
be a senior.
She'll be a senior.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there are any other seniors on the team next year.
Can't think of any.
I don't think there are.
Yeah.
They got a lot of good young players like Claire Till coming up, Callie Peskel. There are a lot of good ones coming up, but
where will Claire Till play? What position?
I think she'll be a forward.
3?
A 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We'll
what
see.
size is she? What?
I think she's about 6 foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Her mother does a great job on the radio.
Well, the Big Ten next year.
Well, she knows what she's talking about. She delivers it very well because I listen to all the games on the radio that I can, and I think she's excellent.
What did she have to say last night about the game or about Notre Dame or the seniors?
Well, she basically was talking about our cold shooting, and was satisfied with the effort we were putting out. I think at times she thought maybe we were pushing a little too fast.
Yeah, there were times when that happened.
Which we had a lot of turnovers.
Yeah.
But she was very positive. She's always very positive, and
But a lot of turnovers, we didn't get a chance to make them, because we threw it away or something.
Yeah. And Notre Dame, too. I mean, I've learned over the years that's kind of part of women's college basketball. maybe are a few more errors or unforced errors thrown away. There was a lot of that last night for both teams. And I've just learned to accept it. It's not the same game as the men's game, but that's part of what I like about the women's game.
But, you know, the men's game isn't that way anymore. We haven't thrown it away as much since especially since the NIT started.
Yeah.
I think this team, the men's team, has gotten better as the years progressed. And you're right. I mean, fewer turnovers. They're playing. I mean, they led the Big Ten in defense, basically.
Yeah. Great defensive team.
You think about McCaffrey talking last year how we need to play better defense, and off season he said we have to learn how to play defense. And they have learned how to play defense, this team.
It's the big difference this season in this team, defense.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other big difference,
fewer turnovers.
The loss of Matt Gatens. We don't have that go-to guy. Marble is the go-to guy. He isn't as consistent
the last couple of
as
games.
Matt Gatens. Yep, he's hit some big shots. He's scored big. And they're going to need him to do it again against Virginia. The Hawkeyes had 2 big wins last week against Stony Brook on Friday night.
Yes.
And then
Stony Brook was really pretty darn good.
Oh, that was a good Stony Brook team. That was a really good Stony Brook team. Indiana State was no slop, but Iowa did what they should have done, and that was dominate Indiana State. And you know the difference in that Indiana State had a really good player, and I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Who was their go-to guy?
I don't know. I was in Carolinas. I didn't get to see the game. But,
it was on ESPN too?
Yeah, but we were out that night or something, so I didn't get to see it. I heard the score, but
Markham, Slocum, Yoakum, can't think of his name, but good player.
Yeah.
And they just shut him down, the Hawkeyes did, with their defense. It was a difference in the game. And he got frustrated. He got benched. And, second half, the Hawkeyes turned a close game into a blowout. It was impressive. And then, like you said, a very good Stony Brook team comes to town, who I think was, quite frankly, more athletic than Iowa. And the difference in the game was defense. Hawks win by 10. Record is 23-12 now. The women finished 21-13.
Yep.
So the men have surpassed the women, 23-12. They have a chance to even their record at 24-12. 2 wins for every 1 loss, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
They're going to Virginia tonight, 6 p.m.
Is that the best team in Virginia?
Yeah. Yeah, and they're seeded one of the 1 seeds in the
they're
NIT.
a 1 seed.
We're a 3 seed, right?
Yeah, if they're the best team in Virginia. Virginia Tech, Virginia Commonwealth, didn't they both make the NCAA tourney? I know VCU
did.
Yeah.
You're right.
And Virginia,
that's that Shaka Smarts team that got eliminated in the NCAA.
Right.
And Virginia Tech. Who did we play in the?
We played Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
And they beat
you know
us.
what? But they didn't make the tournament.
They didn't?
But they scored 95 points against Iowa early. I mean, they were so hot in the early season. But Virginia's good. I mean, they've won, like you said, 19 in a row at home.
19 in a row at home.
They've led their conference in they sound like a mirror image to Iowa.
They beat Duke. They beat a lot of good teams. North Carolina.
Did they beat Duke?
Yes, and North Carolina.
Everyone that came to Charlottesville got beat this year.
That's right. So we'll have our hands full, but you know what? Again, it's who's hot and who's not tonight. That's who's going to win the ball game.
This Hawkeye men's team has had a good season, and I think improvement, growth. But what they haven't had is a signature win.
On the road.
Well, I don't think they've had a signature win at home either.
Well, Iowa State, pretty good team.
Early in the, I'm not discounting it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, at that point in the season, Iowa State wasn't ranked.
No.
And, they've lost to the ranked teams that came into Carver Hawkeye. The thing of it is, they led those teams. Yeah. They led Michigan State. They should have beaten them. They led Wisconsin, and Indiana, and should have beaten them.
Minnesota, Purdue.
On the road, Minnesota, Purdue, Wisconsin again, double overtime loss at Madison. Those are games they led and should have won, and they didn't have the ability to close the deal. And just once this year,
Yeah. Maybe
I'd like to see him do it. Well, we're due.
Like to see him get to Madison already
Oh, that would be
for the semifinals
fantastic.
and finals. But can you imagine how good this team could have been if we had Matt Gatens this year?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
this could have been a fine team.
Yeah, well.
But we didn't.
I think White didn't play as well
No,
the last 6 games.
I'd like to see him take his.
But he's due, Murph.
Yeah.
Well,
He's due for one of those games to
He's
explode.
due.
He did well against I think it was Oregon last year.
Yes, he did. Marble had the big game against Oregon, but
Yeah.
White, he had a great freshman year, and this year he's playing a different position than he did last.
He seems hurt or something.
Well, he seems reluctant at times.
That's what might be the right word.
Yeah, he seems reluctant. He put up
Yeah.
some really beautiful three-point shots last year. This year, he hardly takes them, and I wish he would, because it's what the defense will do against him.
Yeah.
And he's just not doing that. Again, different position.
I wouldn't be
different role.
surprised if the coach has told him that he's not doing as well. Let's get some pep
Yep.
in your step.
Well, that'll be a big difference next year if we have some three-point presence coming in to help us with
Peter Jock is that
Peter
three-point
Jock.
presence.
Yeah.
I just seen him play once, and it was tremendous.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys, are we a better team with Roy Marble at the point?
We could be better if he was.
Are we playing better with Marble at the point? Or no? Doesn't
Yes,
make any
yeah, we are.
We are now.
Okay.
We are now. I think earlier in the season, maybe not. Earlier
Okay.
in the season, our freshman point guard,
Giselle.
I'm sorry, Giselle.
And Clemens, we had the-
and Clemens.
Okay.
Giselle,
Gasell, I'm not sure. Yeah.
He's hurt now, and it's pretty
Yes.
clear. Early in the season, he was a real spark plug, both with the ball but also shooting. And then somewhere after the Big Ten season started, there was a difference.
Well, the guard from Michigan, he throws the ball away
Clemens.
so many times.
He's not playing as much, is he?
No, he's not.
Well, he got set down.
Yeah.
He got in Fran's doghouse.
Well,
is what
that's
he
the
did.
reason.
He
I
ended
guess.
his doghouse by his irresponsible dribbling.
Throwing the ball away and turning it over. Early in the season, he wasn't having that problem, but then early in the season, they weren't playing Big Ten caliber opponents.
no.
And I
Well,
think that's the difference.
And the fact that they're getting experience and then tournament experience, even though it's not the NCAA I wanted to see happen, it's the NIT, it will help them next year. Plus, they're going to get a chance to play in Europe for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
That's a big deal.
And
including the new players.
that's a huge deal.
Yes.
And it's a real bonding opportunity that they don't get normally. Get a chance every, 4 years, is it?
I think it is every 4.
Yeah. So they're going to get to bond in that manner. And then at the beginning of the season, they're going to be in the Great Alaska Shootout,
Yes.
the pre-tournament. And
That's always a good tournament.
it is. And it's a tournament that the Hawkeyes won back when Tom Davis was the head coach.
Remember that tournament, Murph?
That was his
You
first
guys-
year, wasn't it?
It might have been his first year, and we went there and won the tournament, and we played some good teams.
Oh,
That was a great start to that season.
they played the best of the best. And
Yes.
again, I don't know if it's first year or second year, but they let everybody know they were going to be a contender.
Yes.
And see that repeat itself next year, but starting right now, get to that NIT tournament, build a little more time together, a little more bonding together. I'd really like to see Eric May and Oglesby step up. Not that Eric May hasn't.
He has done that.
He's done very well. I have to admit, I get frustrated with Oglesby not shooting the ball.
And it seems to me the other forward from Sioux City,
McCabe?
McCabe.
Yeah.
it seems like he gets picked on.
Yeah, the refs.
The only player
Gets a lot of fouls. Yeah.
I love the guy.
Yeah. He's
I wish
aggressive.
Oglesby had his courage.
yes.
Yeah.
Because Zach McCabe,
He's got grit.
he's got no fear.
Yeah, yeah.
He will put that 3 up. And which game it was last week? It was Stony Brook
Yeah.
or Indiana State. But early in the game, he came in, he put up a 3, and he missed badly.
Yeah.
Very next possession, the flow of the offense came to him again at the 3-point line, and he took it and he hit it.
Yeah.
And I was telling my boys, we were watching the game, yes, I'd like to see that shot. He's in the flow, take it again,
That's
don't
right.
hesitate. Boom, it went down. And that's how you build that momentum. No fear, no hesitation.
Shooter's got to shoot.
That's right. I wish Oglesby, when he gets the ball in the flow of the offense,
Yeah.
would shoot the ball.
That's
He's
what
got the most beautiful shot.
It is.
He'll be better next year.
I don't know. There's a flaw. There's a mental hiccup
Yeah.
that is just preventing him from pulling the trigger. And I love that Fran's got confidence in him. But as a fan, I'm starting to lose confidence when I see him come in. He does defensively. He doesn't hurt you with the ball in his hands. But it hurts you when you pass up the shot that you were there to take.
Well, you know what? Things can change over a summer because there was an interesting interview after one of the games of the Florida golf coach came up and they were complimenting his point guard who had like 11 assists in that last game that they won in the NCAA, and they were complimenting him, and he said he's having a great tournament, but last year, you know, he practically led the country in turnovers.
Really?
And this year he's one of the leaders in assists. He said that's the difference a year can make.
Yeah. And growth, you know.
And that was an interesting point that he made on national TV when they were complimenting this kid, and he was going with it, but he said, hey, last year it was the opposite, so it's good to see it happen this way. But
I wish you could see the Florida Gulf Coast team.
they something. I mean, I've certainly read a lot about them, and
The first 15 seed ever to make the Sweet 16.
yeah, and fun to watch, right, Merv?
Yeah.
Oh, and these games, they really aren't close. They are blowing out their opponents.
They're still talking about that dunk that one player made on the Friday night game.
Yeah.
The highlight reel, the highlight film deal. So
They are. Everybody loves Cinderella.
yes,
And Florida Gulf Coast is no exception. But the story is just amazing. They've been at school for how many years, Bob?
16.
Yeah, and they've had
They've been
a basketball program for 3.
3 they've been accepted as
Think of that.
because you have to go through so many years of preliminary schedule.
Uh-huh.
I think this is their 3rd year technically in Division 1. Last year they were 15 and 17. Same group of guys.
Wow.
This year they're what?
I
They're
reckon-
6 and 10 or
Is that what the record
I
is?
think so. Yeah, 25 or 26 and 10. Yeah.
Well, now, who do they play this week? Is it Florida? Or
They
is
play Florida.
It's Florida. Now, there's
Yeah.
a matchup made for TV. Florida versus Florida Gulf Coast U.
Yeah.
And you know those FGCU players are going to be fired up to play the Gators.
Here's the deal. They've already made their season.
Oh, yeah.
They have nothing to lose.
I think they're going to beat
they
Florida.
got 0 to lose. I think
They've got the talent.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Somebody wrote today in the paper, forget where I read it, but the beautiful thing about NCAA men's basketball tournament is you got all these 3-star recruits
Yeah.
who are now playing at the same level as all the 5-stars and 4-stars that haven't gone to the NBA yet. And how they have grown into the position and matured. And you've got a group here with Florida Gulf Coast that is just so much fun to watch. They play with so much just sheer joy of the game.
Well, and I think there was another article written recently about that's why the parity in college basketball is where it is, because the players, the 3-stars you mentioned, or the 2-stars, or the no-stars that go to these MAC schools, let's say the mid-majors,
Yes,
they stay for 4 years.
exactly.
5.
Exactly.
Okay, if they have an injury year or whatever, if they're redshirted, they stay for 4 or 5 years. And in the BCS schools, you know, like Zeller, like all these players, the Kentucky players that all leave after one and done, or 1 and 2, and then so your stars are moving on to the NBA when you got these mid-majors just kind of learning the system, getting a little better every year, and staying for 4 or 5 years. I mean, look at Creighton.
Say, has anybody listened to the loudmouth?
Dick Vitale, you must.
No.
Jim Rome?
No, he's a black.
Barkley?
Barkley.
Oh.
Charles Barkley.
He said that the worst basketball is played right in the middle of the West.
Yeah, the Big Ten isn't near the conference that the Mountain West Conference was. And look what the Mountain West did. It went 1 for 5 in the first round, and now they're out. You've still got 4 Big Ten teams left in the Sweet 16. You got Steve Alford once again as a 3 seed, losing to a 14 seed, just like he did when he was here at Iowa against Northwestern State. I mean, those Lobo fans were counting. They were just punching their ticket straight to the Sweet 16.
Well, you know, I did not know until the NCAA started talking about it. I thought the Big Ten was the top-rated RPI conference.
No.
So the Mountain, I mean, come on, how does that happen? I mean, look at who the Big Ten plays. Let's discount all of their non-conference games. Let's just count the conference. How in the heck can the Mountain West be rated? I mean, I don't like the RPI anyway.
Theoretically, it's the pre-conference games you play.
Yes, okay.
The lousy teams that the Big Ten plays before the conference season.
Well, it did cost us.
Well, it did. It cost us the NCAA, but if we would have beaten the Nebraskas and the Purdues and the teams that we shouldn't have lost to.
Well, I think the teams you needed to be, you talked about earlier. Okay, look, Wichita State.
Yep.
Okay, that was a non-conference. But
look at Wichita
the Big
State.
Ten games,
they're great. They're still in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, but supposedly we didn't play anybody. We played Wichita State, we played Iowa State, we played Virginia Tech, we played Northern Iowa. But the games we didn't win were the Indiana State and the Wisconsins that we should have.
Yeah.
Creighton's still alive, aren't they?
No.
Nope, they got beat by Duke.
Duke got them.
Yeah.
Duke took
Okay.
them out by 15 or I think it was 66 to 50.
Yeah, it was. They just couldn't match up.
Well, that made Durbus still. He's a good ball player.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if he'll come back, Murph.
I think he will.
I would think because he's playing for his dad.
Yeah. I would think he will.
He's got one more year. He's certainly had a great.
Now, have either of you seen LaSalle play? They're the other Cinderella team.
No.
Out of Philadelphia.
Philly.
I haven't seen him play.
But guess what? They have 4 starters from Philly. Guy doesn't have to go too far to recruit, does he?
Yeah, and they know how to play ball in Philly. Just ask Coach Fran.
Oh, yeah,
That's where he
exactly.
grew up and played ball.
Yeah.
What was his nickname? White
White Lightning?
Lightning or White Thunder or something.
A White Irishman.
So it's just, I love the NCAA tournament, and I didn't get to watch as much as I usually would. I didn't even get to fill out a bracket this year.
Yeah.
First time in, I think, forever that I haven't filled out a bracket.
We probably have the only Division I coach, however, that graduated from the Wharton School of Business.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, speaking of, you know, Wharton and such, how sweet was it to watch down New Mexico?
Beautiful.
I just loved it.
Tommy Amaker.
Yeah, I mean,
Where did he coach? He went to Michigan.
he was Michigan.
Michigan,
Yeah.
and they let him go.
Yep.
We didn't have terrible teams. He just didn't give them what they wanted.
Yeah, he wasn't a good coach at Michigan. He wasn't a good fit.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Well, he's done well at Harvard. They almost made it last year to the NCAA.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that's the first time Harvard has ever won an NCAA tournament game.
Which is one more than Stern.
Yeah. Who fired Coach Carmody.
They just about had to, don't you think? 13
Well-
seasons is he did a credible job with what he had. They have no
Realistically-
facilities.
Yeah, realistically, they're not going to get any better with him there, but he was dealt a tough blow this year with all the injuries.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they only had, 9 players in uniform? So,
He had a couple players hurt when they played here.
oh yeah,
One
yeah.
came at the end of the first half and never came back.
that's right. Well, I feel no sympathy for Northwestern.
Chris Collins is going to get that job,
I hope so.
the Duke assistant.
Yeah. Those Duke assistants don't do too well once they leave the fold. Look at Amaker. You know, he's doing all right at Harvard so far.
But you're right. Traditionally, they haven't. But, you know, there's a lot of good players in Chicago, and if they could just keep some of those kids home.
Yeah.
And he's a Chicago native.
Yeah.
Maybe he can do it.
Well, is he Chicago? Yeah, I guess he is. Yeah, his dad played for the Bulls.
He played for
And coached for
Northbrook
the
High or
Bulls.
something.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. His dad grew up downstate in McLeansboro.
Yeah.
I remember him when I was a kid growing up. He was quite the star. He was on the 72 Olympic team.
Well, and Chris Collins, you know, he's only 38 years old. He's
Yeah.
a young coach.
Yeah.
So, you know, guys, it's all rooting. I mean,
Speaking of Dukies,
Yeah.
did you see who else got a job as a head coach? Bobby Hurley.
oh, he did.
He's the head coach at Buffalo.
Boy.
It'll be interesting to see how he does out there. And of course,
Buffalo.
Tubby got fired at Minnesota. And
How about that, Murph?
yeah, on the surface, it doesn't make much sense. But
Well, the guy averages 21 victories and 14 defeats in 6 seasons. He had 5 20-plus winning seasons.
cleaned him up out of the gutter from that academic cheating scandal.
And, you know, it's, wow, what's it take today to keep your job, huh?
Well, what I've read is
Victories.
more and more.
He had quite a few of those, but not enough, obviously. But
I've read, and I believe what I've seen too. He's not a great game day coach.
Doesn't seem like that.
No. He had a lot of talent, and just a lot of talent. Look at all the kids who have transferred out.
yeah. Like that, was it Royce White?
Royce
Went to
White
Iowa
went to Iowa State. There are a bunch of them, and he's had a lot of kids who got in trouble with the law, who got in trouble academically, and he even had his son on the coaching staff who got busted for drunk driving earlier this season.
Oh,
He's been
didn't know
suspended
that.
the whole rest of the year. So,
Well.
yeah, the rumblings were there. It's going to be interesting to see who they're going to get. A lot of Gopher fans think it's going to be Shaka Smart from Virginia Commonwealth, but that ain't
No
going to
way.
happen.
No
You
way.
talk about facilities.
Yeah.
Northwestern, Minnesota, they're way behind in the arms race
They
as far
are.
as practice facilities,
Yeah.
not to mention game day facilities. The
Yeah.
barn, Williams Arena, is a dump. Northwestern, what's the name of their gym?
What is the name of that gym? We've been beaten there enough. We should know it.
Yeah, it's a dump. It's a high school gym.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? Northwestern, at
Who's
least,
this?
Northwestern.
Oh, yeah.
they're dedicating plenty of money to their football program.
Yeah.
And they've got a good athletic director there, and you know that they gotta be looking to change that basketball situation.
Yeah. We'll see if they do.
Minnesota, I don't know, but you know, and you know, you got the barn, and it's not on the campus, right?
Our facilities are.
It is.
Yeah,
Okay.
the barn's on the campus.
I was pretty well. They can handle most baseball, all
I agree.
football.
Everything's top notch here. They got all the practice facilities you could want.
Well, and they're finishing the second phase of the football
Yeah.
facility. I mean,
I didn't know we needed help there.
Well, I guess it was it was planned all along.
Is that second?
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's supposed to be done not next fall, but the fall after.
Oh, is that right? I don't know.
But you know, I mean, what more can we do?
What-
Except baseball, what more can we do?
Baseball, I think they're in great shape.
Well, not compared to other Big Ten facilities.
Really?
They say.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think.
I think it's nice, but
Sheesh.
I don't think that they're hurting there.
They got lights. That's more than a lot of Big Ten schools
Yeah.
can say, thanks to Cal Eldred. And speaking of baseball,
Yeah.
just opened the Big Ten season last weekend and lost 2 out of 3 games to Northwestern. Those games were here in Iowa City. I can't imagine they played baseball
Oh,
last
boy.
weekend. They're going to play at home again this weekend. Indiana's coming to town Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Indiana is #1 in the Big Ten.
Boy, that's surprising.
And it surprised me.
What's Iowa's record right now in baseball?
Right now it's 9-10 overall and 1-2 in the Big Ten.
Well, you know what? That's a heck of a lot better than the seasons we've started lately.
It is. And they had some bright moments in the pre-conference season.
Yeah.
When they could get games in. They were supposed to, you know what, I take it back. They were on the road last weekend at Northwestern.
Okay.
Because
they were supposed to play Creighton.
Tonight was supposed to be the home opener,
Yeah.
and that's been postponed till April.
Okay.
So now the home opener is against Indiana, #1 ranked Big Ten team. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you're not doing a whole lot, get out there and enjoy. It's supposed to get up in the 50s Friday. So let's hope for that.
Well, they should have decent weather, at least. I mean, it's certainly not what we'd like to have, but they can play the games.
That's right. That's right. I think the field's ready.
Yeah.
I drive by it enough. It looks to be ready. The #1 pitcher for the Hawkeyes threw a complete game shutout at Northwestern for their one win. Matt Dermody. And the women's softball team also is underway. They got swept by Minnesota at home last weekend. And let's see, they're going to be home this weekend.
Well, they've been playing pretty well, hadn't they? I mean,
their record is 19-11.
Okay.
So they got off to a much improved start over last year. And they're 0-3, unfortunately, after being swept by Minnesota. They are going to host Wisconsin this weekend. Friday and Saturday are when the women play.
Okay.
So, and the games are staggered. They play 3, the men play 4.
Okay.
The men just didn't get the 4th game in on Sunday at Northwestern. So, understandable with the weather everybody had last weekend.
Yeah.
The start times for softball and baseball are staggered this weekend, so you can virtually get to both if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And then we just want to talk a little bit about Hawkeye wrestling. And it's a shame we only want to talk a little bit about it because
it is.
The NCAA wrestling tournament was in Des Moines this past weekend, and it's been a long time since the NCAA championships were in the state of Iowa. And unfortunately, the Hawkeyes didn't do any better than 4th place, and unfortunately, they only got one national champ, and that's West High product, Derek St. John, at 157 pounds.
And he was runner-up.
That is correct.
Yeah.
He will be a senior next year.
He's going to be a good one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's a national champion.
He's got some fierceness. He's got a bit of attitude in him. Bit of a temper. Very on the outside, very calm and kind of.
Yeah, you interview him. He's real calm and
low key.
You got to have that old temper when it comes to wrestling.
Well, you get slapped in the head enough by your opponent, and you're finally going to have to do something.
Yeah.
And he has. It's hurt him a couple of times this year, but the thing about Derek St. John is he learns from those mistakes. He learns from those defeats. He's only had 2 defeats this year.
Yeah.
And they were late in the season. And a lot of wrestlers would let that get to them.
And he beat a good wrestler. This Welsh from
Welsh from Northwestern.
Yes.
That's right, Earl.
That was a very excellent match.
3-2 win over Jason Welch. Tony Ramos finished 2nd to Logan Stieber from Ohio State.
He should have at least got a near fall out of that.
Tony Ramos, there's a lot of people are upset about that match.
That's right.
He put Stieber to his back. And they gave him the points, and then they took him away after review.
Yeah, Mark Ironside was very upset.
I bet he was. I wish I could have heard Ironside. It tore me up not to be here for that.
The other thing Ironside said, I heard him interviewed on the Gym Class radio program yesterday. He's Mark Ironside
on ESPN Radio's Gym Class.
Yeah, and he said that the Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines that hosted the tournament did an excellent job.
Good.
They did a very good job from A to Z.
Good.
And Mark can be pretty critical, and he was very complimentary about how they handled the whole tournament, which was a good thing to be said for the state of Iowa. And Iowa State and Northern Iowa did pretty well in the tournament.
Yeah, Penn State won their 3rd straight national title. Oklahoma State had the best tournament, really, of anyone else, and wrestled above their seed and finished second. Minnesota got third.
But boy, we were a distant fourth.
It was
30 points behind Minnesota.
Well, and
weren't we?
The great disappointment was obviously Matt McDonough, senior, 125-pounder. He'd wrestled in every title match in his career, and he'd won 2 of them. He didn't even get the All-American status. He didn't finish in the top 8.
You know, he had a really tough last 4 or 5 weeks, guys.
Well,
you know, he was 125-9 in his career. What did he lose in the last 5 weeks? 5 of those?
2, 3, at least 4. No, I think.
You know, that's a tough finish for a guy that's been such a great wrestler and had such a great career.
A lot of people have felt that there's something wrong with him this year. And there was nothing but denial coming out of the coaches' mouths as far as injury. Or, I'm sorry, as far as you would think for a kid who's been at 125 pounds all 4 years, that's really hard to make weight once your body is changing and growing as a 22, 23.
Yeah.
It is tough. We know it is. And a lot of people, myself included, just chalked it up to struggling with maintaining his weight at 125 pounds.
I think he starved himself to death.
Well,
that's
what I've heard in the last couple days is that, and again, don't know it's true, but the speculation is he has a torn labrum. And he had it several months ago.
Okay.
Because he hasn't looked right all season. Matches where he would dominate and pin somebody, he was just eking out 1- and 2-point victories.
Yeah.
There's just been something wrong. And an injury like a torn labrum would explain a lot.
Oh, sure.
And it would also explain how tough this kid is. Because you or I have a torn labrum.
What is a torn labrum?
Well, it's an arm muscle, isn't it, Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah. And for a wrestler who has to use so much of their arms in the practice, I just think it would be, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it.
Well, it's unfortunate because he had such a great career, and he's got to be really disappointed.
And on top of it, he's a great kid.
Yeah, it's just a shame.
I've met him several times after wrestling meets.
Yeah.
I've been with my son Paul, and he's so good with Paul.
Yeah.
Talks to him at his level. You know, there are not a lot of wrestlers at the collegiate level that can do that. It's just not in them, you know?
Yeah.
And he was just a good kid from Linn-Mar High School up in Marion. Yeah. And I hate to see him go out that way. Daggone it, you know.
Ramos was interviewed like a good kid.
Yeah, Ramos is a typical Iowa wrestler, and we're going to get to see him another year. Joe Murphy just gave me the finger, which means we have left to wrap
is that what
this
that
up.
means?
So we're out of time for Sports Opinion here, but you can watch us every Wednesday night at 7 p.m., every Sunday night at 6 p.m. on Channel 18. If that doesn't work for you, you can go to, right below here, it says patv.tv, and you can catch the show there, or you can go to my Facebook page and watch. We do appreciate you tuning in every week. We appreciate your comments. And guys, I appreciate you. And we all appreciate Joe Murphy behind the camera, behind the one who makes this show happen.
Joe's the man.
He is. And we'll be back next week with a new show on Sports Opinion. Until then, remember this. Either you're a Hawk or you're not. Go Hawks. Thanks for watching.
Yes, sir.